What truly happens when she senses your interest waning? It is far from what you might initially imagine. Instead, it proves to be a more profound, more revealing, and utterly transformative experience that can decisively shift the dynamic in your favor. Her subsequent reactions will unfurl a complete narrative of her genuine emotions and the true extent of your influence within the relationship. Remain with this understanding, for grasping her response grants you a potent advantage, one you may not have even realized you possessed. The first moment, that initial jolt of perceived loss of control, strikes with a force far greater than one might anticipate. This is not merely about surprise. It is an abrupt realization that the very dynamic she once believed she commanded has now undergone a complete and fundamental alteration. Up until this point, she might have found comfort and security in the conviction that you were deeply invested, entirely predictable, and emotionally tethered to her. Yet when that familiar energetic connection dissipates, it triggers an emotional cascade she simply cannot disregard. This profound jolt originates from the dissolution of certainty itself. Certainty provides immense comfort. It delineates her position and reassures her that your presence remains. Your attention unwavering, your emotional involvement intact. The sudden absence of that certainty propels her into unfamiliar terrain. She begins an internal interrogation. What has changed? Did I misinterpret his intentions? Was there some crucial detail I overlooked? These questions are not born solely of confusion. They emerge from a deep-seated apprehension of losing a connection she was convinced she held firmly in her grasp. Here, however, lies the extraordinary power. This very moment of initial shock marks the precipice where the balance of power begins its deliberate tilt. Your quiet withdrawal, your deliberate silence conspires to forge an aura of mystery around you. She finds herself adrift, uncertain of her standing. And this very uncertainty ignites a powerful emotional magnetic pull. Her thoughts become consumed by the unanswerable question, the why, a single inquiry capable of dominating her entire mental landscape. The paramount imperative for you in this phase is to resist the urge to provide her with any answers. Allow her to sit with the disorienting shock, to grapple with the unanswered questions. It is within this unsettling space of discomfort that she will commence a re-evaluation of both you and her own conduct. Following this initial disorientation, a powerful innate drive emerges. The imperative to reclaim validation. Validation in the intricate ecosystem of relationships functions much like oxygen. Its perceived diminishing supply creates a profound void that her psyche cannot ignore. This unsettling emptiness activates her primal instinct to reassert that validation, to ensure that she still occupies a significant and vital place within the narrative of your life. Yet this is not merely a matter of sentiment. It is fundamentally about re-establishing a sense of power and control. You might begin to observe subtle yet discernible shifts in her behavior during this phase. She may initiate contact more frequently, dispatching text messages that masquerade as casual inquiries but are, in truth, carefully calibrated tests. Messages such as, "Hello, how have you been doing?" or "I saw something that brought you to mind," are not accidental or spontaneous. They represent calculated endeavors to gauge your current emotional state and ascertain whether you will readily re-engage. She is searching diligently for any indication that she still matters, that she still wields some measure of influence over your emotional landscape. Should she fail to elicit the desired response, however, her actions may escalate. She might attempt to provoke a more intense emotional reaction by referencing other individuals or by feigning a complete indifference to your conspicuous absence. But this is not genuine apathy. It is merely another strategy, a deliberate test of your boundaries and your emotional fortitude. The most critical error many commit at this juncture is capitulating too swiftly. They misinterpret her strenuous attempts to reclaim validation as authentic renewed interest, subsequently reverting to outmoded patterns of pursuing her or offering excessive explanations. The true power, however, resides in maintaining your unwavering composure, in remaining self-possessed and emotionally detached. By doing so, you compel her to exert greater effort to comprehend you. This subtle yet profoundly impactful shift irrevocably alters her perception of you. It forces her to recognize that you are not the same individual she once believed she had completely deciphered. Once the initial wave of shock has receded, and her concerted efforts to regain validation have proven insufficient, a potent new force takes over: curiosity. This burgeoning curiosity is not solely directed at you. It extends to a deeper need to understand precisely what went awry, and what catalyst precipitated such a change. Human beings are inherently analytical creatures, particularly when navigating the complexities of their relationships. When your behavior undergoes an unexpected transformation, it triggers an innate compulsion to decipher the underlying reasons. She begins to meticulously replay your past interactions within her mind, dissecting every minute detail in search of elusive clues. Did she miss something crucial? Did she perhaps overlook an important signal? These questions are far from fleeting thoughts. They become a relentless, looping refrain within her consciousness. She might even seek counsel from her friends, laboring to construct a coherent narrative that adequately explains your actions. Curiosity also inexorably leads to introspection. As she delves deeper into this mental excavation, she begins to perceive qualities she might have previously disregarded. Your inherent virtues, your consistent efforts, and those singular attributes that made you truly distinctive. Your absence creates an expansive mental canvas upon which these positive traits become dramatically amplified in her perception. It is as if your very silence has turned up the volume on everything she once took for granted. The profound elegance of this phase is that you are required to do absolutely nothing. Her own mind is diligently performing all the arduous work on your behalf. The more intensely her curiosity grows, the more deeply invested she becomes in comprehending the unfolding situation. And the more deeply invested she becomes, the more probable it is that she will grasp the full extent of what she stands to lose. The role of ego in this intricate equation is undeniably powerful. It is inextricably linked to her intrinsic sense of identity and control, and when that perceived control is fundamentally threatened, her ego reacts with a profound defensive posture. The stark realization that your interest is no longer as fervent as it once was compels her to confront a version of herself she may vehemently wish to avoid. The ego thrives on a steady supply of validation and unwavering certainty. When you were attentive, consistently responsive, and emotionally accessible, it served to reinforce her sense of paramount importance within your life. However, the instant you withdraw, that vital reinforcement vanishes. This precipitates an acute inner conflict, prompting her to question whether she might have severely misjudged her actual influence over you. This particular phase can prove exceptionally challenging for her because it directly assails her deeply held perceptions of the relationship. If she previously believed she held the upper hand, your strategic withdrawal forces a painful reconsideration. Her ego might even drive her to overtly act out, relentlessly striving to regain the power she feels has slipped through her fingers. This could manifest as provoking you with subtly indirect comments, attempting to ignite your jealousy, or projecting an overly confident demeanor to mask her profound insecurity. The imperative here is to remain absolutely steadfast. Do not permit her ego-driven reactions to ensnare you back into old, detrimental dynamics. Your calm, composed, and unruffled demeanor will accomplish far more in unsettling her than any reactive or emotional behavior ever could. Over the passage of time, her ego will inevitably recede, taking a subordinate position to her deeper emotions, and it is at that precise juncture that genuine reflection truly begins. When she finally feels the void, the profound impact of silence is often grossly underestimated. Yet its transformative power becomes utterly undeniable when she begins to truly sense the chasm you have left behind. This is not simply about missing your physical presence. It is about the absolute absence of everything you consistently brought to the relationship. Your unwavering attention, your unique energy, and your steadfast consistency. Initially, she might dismiss it, perhaps convincing herself that she can readily adapt to this new dynamic. But as the days transform into weeks, the sheer weight of your absence begins to settle in with an inescapable gravity. She starts to keenly notice the myriad small things she once took for granted. The effortless way you made her laugh, the patient manner in which you listened, or even the profound sense of stability you reliably provided. These realizations do not arrive in a single flash. They come in successive waves, and each subsequent wave crashes with a force greater than the one before it. The void is not merely emotional, it is deeply psychological. She commences a rigorous self-interrogation, questioning whether she fundamentally underestimated your true value, and whether the loss of your interest is a direct reflection of something she herself did wrong. This profound introspection is incredibly powerful, for it compels her to confront her own prior behavior and its inevitable consequences. Your role during this critical phase is remarkably simple. Do nothing. Allow her to experience the full, unadulterated weight of the void. Let her wonder incessantly, and let her reflect deeply. The longer she sits with these uncomfortable feelings, the more profoundly significant your absence will become in the vast expanse of her mind. Why then does silence so powerfully amplify your perceived value? Silence in its essence is frequently misunderstood. It is not about actively ignoring her, nor is it about engaging in manipulative games. It is fundamentally about creating an expansive mental space for her to profoundly reflect upon everything you genuinely contributed to her life. When you embrace silence, you deliberately remove the constant reassurance she may have become utterly accustomed to. This sudden, jarring absence compels her to reevaluate your inherent worth, and it is precisely there that the magic truly unfolds. Your silence wields immense power because it is utterly unexpected. Most individuals, when confronted with disappointment or profound frustration, instinctively attempt to explain themselves to seek a definitive closure or to vociferously fight for attention. By strategically stepping back and maintaining an unwavering silence, you transmit a potent message without uttering a single word. I do not need to prove my inherent worth to you. My actions speak unequivocally for themselves. As the relentless march of time continues, your silence commences the process of amplifying your presence within her thoughts. She begins to meticulously replay past interactions, noticing with new clarity the many things she may have previously overlooked. Perhaps it is your inherent kindness, your steadfast consistency, or the unique way you consistently made her feel truly special. These positive attributes become remarkably magnified in your absence, precisely because there is no distracting noise to pull her attention away from the profound void you have left behind. Silence also grants her the invaluable time to question herself. She might ruminate. Why has he not reached out? Is he truly moving on? Did I gravely underestimate him? These questions do not merely generate simple curiosity, they ignite a potent sense of urgency. The longer you steadfastly remain silent, the more significant your presence becomes and the more acutely she realizes just how profoundly she misses your consistent presence. As your period of silence extends, it inexorably creates a unique and palpable form of emotional tension. This tension is not merely about the acute pang of missing you. It is about the multitude of unresolved feelings and persistent questions swirling incessantly within her mind. The gnawing uncertainty of your current standing becomes an overwhelming driving force behind her every thought, and this constant preoccupation ensures your unwavering presence firmly within her consciousness. Emotional tension is extraordinarily powerful because it dramatically disrupts her ingrained sense of stability. She might have previously harbored the belief that she exercised complete control over the situation, but your deliberate withdrawal irrevocably shatters that illusion. This profound loss of control triggers a complex cocktail of emotions: a deep regret for not adequately appreciating you, an intense curiosity about your current activities, and even a lingering sense of guilt for possibly having taken you for granted. The building tension also acutely heightens her awareness of absolutely everything that serves as a poignant reminder of you. A particular song, a familiar place, or even a seemingly random conversation can powerfully evoke vivid memories of the deep connection you once shared. Each subsequent reminder intensifies the emotional magnetic pull, causing her to think about you with ever-increasing frequency. When curiosity finally morphs into decisive action, it becomes clear that curiosity possesses an intrinsic ability to propel individuals into taking concrete steps. Once the emotional tension within her reaches its undeniable zenith, she will experience an overwhelming, almost irrepressible need to bridge the perceived gap between you. Initially, her actions might be subtle, perhaps limited to liking your social media posts, sending seemingly casual texts, or contriving plausible excuses to initiate some form of contact. But as her curiosity grows in intensity, her determined efforts to reconnect will become noticeably more deliberate and overt. When she finally reaches out to you, it serves as an unequivocal sign that she has been relentlessly thinking about you. It is highly probable that she has spent days or even weeks meticulously analyzing her feelings, replaying past interactions repeatedly, and persistently questioning what went wrong. This arduous process of profound reflection very often culminates in a stark realization. Losing you might have been a significantly greater mistake than she initially perceived. How you choose to respond to her actions at this critical juncture is absolutely paramount. This is your unparalleled opportunity to clearly demonstrate that you have grown as an individual and have unequivocally moved forward with your life. Maintain your responses as calm, profoundly confident, and noticeably detached. For instance, if she sends you a text message, resolutely avoid immediately delving into deep or emotionally charged conversations. Instead, keep your replies light and casual, thereby conveying to her that while you are open to the possibility of reconnecting, you are by no means desperate for her attention. This precise balance of self-assured confidence and subtle detachment makes her perceive you in a completely new and compelling light. It powerfully reinforces the notion that you are indeed someone worth pursuing, rather than someone who can be easily swayed or manipulated. By steadfastly maintaining your unwavering composure, you decisively shift the inherent power dynamic squarely in your favor, compelling her to realize that winning you back will prove to be far less simple than she might have initially hoped. Emotional control, one of the most profoundly attractive qualities a person can possess, becomes even more strikingly apparent precisely when she endeavors to reconnect. When she reaches out, she might intentionally test your patience or deliberately provoke emotional reactions in an attempt to gauge your true level of interest. How you adeptly handle these pivotal moments will unequivocally define how she perceives you moving forward into the future. Imagine, for instance, that she brings up past arguments or deliberately tries to elicit a reaction by mentioning other people in your presence. If you respond with uncontrolled anger or palpable frustration, it regrettably reveals to her that you remain emotionally tethered to her actions. However, if you maintain a serene calm and appear utterly unbothered, it communicates an immense strength and an undeniable confidence. It conveys to her that while you may care, you are not under any circumstances controlled by her behavior. Emotional control is not about suppressing your genuine feelings. Rather, it is about masterfully commanding them. It is about unequivocally demonstrating that you can navigate disappointment, rejection, or conflict with a remarkable grace and an unwavering maturity. This rare kind of emotional stability is highly desirable and extraordinarily attractive because it creates a profound sense of security. She understands that no matter what unforeseen circumstances may arise, you will not be easily shaken or destabilized. The profound beauty of emotional control lies in its ability to shift the entire focus back onto you. Instead of relentlessly chasing her or merely reacting to her calculated tests, you are powerfully demonstrating to her that your life and your happiness do not, in fact, revolve solely around her. This profound independence makes you stand out significantly and leaves an enduring impression that is remarkably difficult for her to disregard. Finally, one of the most impactful actions you can undertake is to move on gracefully. This does not imply completely cutting her off or feigning an utter lack of care. Rather, it means demonstrating to her with quiet confidence that you prioritize your own profound growth and your personal happiness above all else. When you choose to move on gracefully, you send an unmistakably clear message. I value myself far too much to remain entangled in a situation that does not align with my unwavering standards. This elevated level of self-respect is profoundly attractive because it unequivocally shows that you are not afraid to decisively walk away from anything that no longer serves your highest good. It also simultaneously compels her to critically question her own past choices and her prior behavior. Graceful detachment is not about engaging in manipulative games or seeking petty revenge. It is fundamentally about channeling your focus inward, onto yourself. It is about investing your precious energy into pursuits that genuinely bring you happiness and profound fulfillment, whether that involves your chosen career, engaging hobbies, or rigorous personal development. When she observes you unequivocally thriving without her presence, it generates a powerful sense of intrigue and a deep admiration. The lasting impression you forge by moving on gracefully is immensely powerful. She will forever remember how you handled the entire situation with an admirable dignity and a remarkable maturity, and this recollection will undoubtedly lead her to realize with piercing clarity precisely what she lost. Over the passage of time, this profound realization very often leads to genuine regret and a powerful desire to reconnect. But by then, you will be firmly ensconced in a position of undeniable strength, empowered to decide with clear conviction whether she is truly worthy of your invaluable time and precious energy.